The European Union, or EU, is a political and economic union of 27 member states located in Europe. The EU was officially established in 1993, but it has a history that goes further back. After World War II, which ended in 1945, Europeans wanted to find a way to ensure peace and cooperation among all their countries. In 1949, 10 European countries established the Council of Europe to promote democracy and protect human rights and the rule of law. In 1957, 6 countries, Italy, France, the Netherlands, West Germany, Luxembourg, and Belgium, created the European Economic Community, or EEC. This agency aimed to integrate European economies. The EEC's founders believed that countries whose economies are interdependent are less likely to go to war with one another. A year later, the forerunner of a European Parliament was established. Over the next 2 decades, the EEC grew by adding new member states. Denmark, Ireland, and the United Kingdom were the first new members to join in 1973. The EEC was eventually absorbed into today's EU, which comprises 27 countries. Today's EU was established in 1992 by an agreement among member states known as the Treaty of Maastricht. The agreement also paved the way for a single European currency, so that the member states could more easily trade with one another. As the EU grew and assumed more powers, its structure also expanded. The EU now has 4 main institutions: the European Council, the European Commission, the European Parliament, and the Council of the European Union. They work together to make decisions on behalf of EU citizens. The European Council is made up of the heads of state or government of EU member states. It sets the EU's overall direction and priorities. It meets several times a year to discuss major issues and make decisions, including ratifying treaties and accepting new member states. While the European Council sets the priorities, the European Commission works to make them a reality. The European Commission is responsible for proposing new laws and policies, managing the EU's budget, and representing the EU on a global stage. The Commission is made up of one commissioner from each member state, and the European Council appoints its president. Each commissioner is responsible for one area of policy, such as trade, energy, or defense. The European Parliament is the only directly elected EU institution, and it represents the EU's citizens. It has the power to approve, amend, or reject EU laws, and it also approves the EU's budget. The number of European Parliament seats each country gets depends on the size of its population. The Council of the European Union brings together ministers from each member state government to amend and adopt laws received from the Parliament. The Council of the European Union is therefore the EU's final legislative authority. The EU has 3 other important institutions. They are the European Court of Justice, the European Central Bank, and the European Court of Auditors. The European Court of Justice is responsible for interpreting EU law and ensuring that it is applied correctly in all member states. It can also make rulings on disputes between member states or between individuals and EU institutions. The European Central Bank supports EU economic policies and is responsible for monetary policy for the Eurozone. Most, but not all, EU countries are in the Eurozone because they use the euro, a shared common currency. The European Court of Auditors contributes to improving EU financial management. It checks that EU funds are correctly accounted for and that they are transparently raised and spent in accordance with EU procedures. The European Court of Auditors acts as the independent guardian of financial interests of the EU citizens. Today's EU is a home to about 450 million people. It is the world's largest single market, which means its member states trade with one another without any restrictions. These countries also work together to promote peace and democratic values and ensure the well-being of their citizens.